weapons, are going to have nuclear weapons, doesn't even think in terms of Israel. Really, that's not what Ron Paul said. Israel's own former Mossad chief has said it'll be a, quote, catastrophe 2 days ago if Israel attacks Iran. We're going to attack Pakistan that our government under Clinton helped AQ Khan Laboratories develop nukes with. I mean, our government's been taken over by criminals. It doesn't care about our interest. Give me a break. I'm tired of these guys menacing us with terrorists. We have a better chance of dying, from a honeybee sting so they can take all our rights and keep us safe. It's a load of bull. All right, we're about to go to break, but first I want to get to another elderly woman says she was exposed at Kennedy Airport, and I'm sure he thinks that's funny. And First Lady Lenora Zimmerman, 85 years old, in a wheelchair, taken behind closed doors because she couldn't get up. They get her up, they take her clothes off, and then they came out and denied it last week. And I knew how they would deny it. At first, they didn't say why it wasn't true. They've come out today in the news, and they've said that it's a procedure, not a strip search. Okay, so I guess sticking your hand in a blender now becomes a procedure. So they do this, it's on record. Remember they said they were going to stop strip searching kids last year. They still do it. They're a pack of criminal liars. They're out of control. They violate the Constitution every day when they do what they do. So, and now a third elderly person has come out and said that the TSA made them strip search in the little room. See, first it's take your shoes off, then your belt, then answer questions, then go in a radiation machine, then have your genitals grabbed, then, on the outside, then the inside. Now it's go in the rape room. But they're saying it's okay. It's not strip search because we say it's not. Taking your clothes off, it's like Bill Clinton saying it depends on what the definition of is. It's all lawyer games. Third elderly South Florida woman says TSA made them strip. I mean, they're on record they do this. I remember last year when I said they were going in people's pants, the TSA denied it, and then all the videos came out showing it. Again, here's their own quote. The TSA says no improper strip searches were conducted. See, first the headline was, we don't do strip searches. Now it's no improper strip searches were done, and the protocol was followed. So, I guess they could next beat your brains out as long as protocol was followed. It's all this legalese garbage, so you don't realize your rights are being violated. Your 10th Amendment, your 4th Amendment, your dignity, everything else. Now, we're going to go to break with this Ron Paul video, this pro-Ron Paul video titled Imagine China Invades America. And this video basically breaks down the outlandish scenarios that are unfolding in this country. We'll be right back after break. It's Infowars Nightly News.
Imagine for a moment that somewhere in the middle of Texas, there was a large foreign military base. Say Chinese or Russian. Imagine that thousands of armed foreign troops were constantly patrolling American streets in military vehicles. Imagine they were here under the auspices of keeping us safe, or promoting democracy, or protecting their strategic interests. Imagine that they operated outside of U.S. law and that the Constitution did not apply to them. Imagine that every now and then they made mistakes or acted on bad information and accidentally killed or terrorized innocent Americans, including women and children, most of the time with little or no repercussions or consequences. Imagine that they set up checkpoints on our soil and routinely searched and ransacked entire neighborhoods of homes. Imagine if Americans were fearful of these foreign troops and overwhelmingly thought America would be better off without their presence. Imagine if some Americans were so angry about them being in Texas that they actually joined together to fight them off in defense of our soil and sovereignty because leadership in government refused or were unable to do so. Imagine that those Americans were labeled terrorists or insurgents for their defensive actions and routinely killed or captured or tortured by the foreign troops on our land. Imagine that the occupiers' attitude was that if they just killed enough Americans, the resistance would stop. But instead, for every American killed, 10 more would take up arms against them, resulting in perpetual bloodshed. Imagine if most of the citizens of the foreign land also wanted these troops to return home. Imagine if they elected a leader who promised to bring them home and put an end to this horror. Imagine if that leader changed his mind once he took office. The reality is that our military presence on foreign soil is as offensive to the people that live there as armed Chinese troops would be if they were stationed in Texas. Shutting down military bases
and ceasing to deal with other nations with threats and violence is not isolationism. It is the opposite. Opening ourselves up to friendship, honest trade, and diplomacy is the foreign policy of peace and prosperity. It is the only foreign policy that will not bankrupt us in the short order, as our current actions most definitely will. I share the disappointment of the American people in the foreign policy rhetoric coming from the administration. The sad thing is, our foreign policy will change eventually, as Rome's did, when all budgetary and monetary tricks to fund it are exhausted.
If you believe in this information and want to support its viral spread, go to the Infowars store at Infowars.com. We've got the new G.I. Joe Infowars t-shirts. We've got the incredible Pro Pure gravity-fed filters available at Infowars.com in the store. We've got a new DVD, Scientists Under Attack, the Don't Tread on Me flag. We've got all sorts of different bumper stickers to help spread the rebellion virally. It's all there, wristbands, citizen rule books in every order. Order online at Infowars.com today. The water filters, the canteens, it's all there. Infowars.com. What if Chinese troops invaded America? I can think of another angle. What if foreign banks took over America in 1913 and have now basically completely rendered the country unrecognizable and used us as an engine of evil worldwide? What about that? Because that's what's happened. And we need to recognize that we become basically like the Germans in Germany or the Russians under the communists. We've got to recognize that this evil is done in our name. We've got to get the public focused in on real issues. That's why I didn't sit on my laurels with Infowars.com or PrisonPlanet.com. I didn't sit on my laurels with the syndicated radio show and all the films I've made. Because we're having an effect in reaching millions a day, we started Infowars Nightly News. We couldn't have done it without you, the subscribers at InfoWarsNews.com and PrisonPlanet.tv. It is you supporting us and subscribing that allows this to air every night at 7 o'clock Central weeknights and then go out to everybody else on the internet. Millions of people watch it a week. We're developing it for different cable and satellite systems. And we also air parts of it on the syndicated radio show that reaches 3 million people a day. We're doing this because of your support. We couldn't do it without you, and I want to thank all of you that do subscribe. If you're not a subscriber, we're running a special through Christmas. You can get basically close to half a year free. It's 5.3 months free, or 44% off when you sign up for a year. We've got some other specials right now, too, at PrisonPlanet.tv. Okay, let's accelerate into the news here. No indication Iran shot down U.S. drone. That was the news yesterday out of Sky Television, Reuters, and others. Has a 90-foot wingspan, $6 million. They're also having their different bases bombed over there. So this is probably a weaponized drone. And the Iranians have it. They're threatening to shut down the Strait of Hormuz. That'll send oil to $200 a barrel. That's about $7 a gallon there at the gas pump. Just absolutely incredible. But now the Pentagon's come out and says, okay, looks like they do have the drone. So Iran has put up with a lot. I'm not saying they're great. Most governments are corrupt. My point is, we don't want World War III with these people. Now, I want to shift gears and look at the real enemy of this country. This is a Senator J. Rockefeller quote from more than 15 years ago. And Senator J. Rockefeller, the head of the Rockefeller dynasty now, David's passed the baton to him, quips about world domination, Bilderberg Trilateral Commission, and rule by the rich. He's so funny he forgot to laugh, Lou Rockwell writes. LouRockwell.com writes, by the way, no wonder Pat Buchanan doesn't support Austrian economics. And this is a roast for Pat Buchanan by J. Rockefeller. The full video and the full date and everything is at Infowars.com. But everything he's saying is actually true here, but they make it a joke. And look at how 20 years ago, 15 years ago, you got laughed at for this stuff. Now it's mainline news. They were stalling you until they thought it was too late. Let's go ahead and go to this clip.
But he'd have to shake a label that gets assigned to people like Pat who run for the presidency, and that is that he's a tool of the rich. I personally like that very much. My father told me that's the way the system is meant to work. You know, I think Pat's coming quickly. Soon, I think he's going to be in a position for the Trilateral Commission. And if he shows promise beyond that, there's Bilderberg. World control, Pat. Settle for nothing else.
All right. And again, I'm going to dig out the date of that because I had it on a printout, but I want to give you the actual date of that. We've got it again at Infowars.com in the hot news section. You can, 1991. So October 19th, 1991 is the date of that, right when George Herbert Walker Bush was calling for a new world order and out of these troubled times, how the great transformation would take place. Great job getting that up, guys. Now, I wanted to play Olympia Snow because both these senators voted last Thursday to have the military on the streets of America and secretly arrest you and your family anytime they want and throw you in a dungeon or even kill you. And Obama came out and said, I'm going to veto that bill because I don't need congressional approval. I can do that on my own, including killing citizens. And that was hailed by the ACLU as, oh, how democratic. Only the Fuhrer can kill people for no reason. Let's go ahead and go to Senator Olympia Snow, another traitor, called for a new world order back in 1996, and she thought it was real funny. Here it is.
That in this day and age when we need a new world order when it comes to our own State Department related agencies, we have to reorganize. And it's important to have a unified, singular voice when it comes to delivering our foreign policy. And that was the basic intent of this agency consolidation. But we have met resistance at every step of the way by the administration.
And you've gotten what you wanted. You've got your consolidation. Now the government can deal the drugs and launder the money properly, federalize the police, launch all these illegal wars. America is now known as an engine of total wickedness and danger and Hitlerian pain. Just incredible. Yeah, the checks and balances, separation of powers is what the founders called for. You call for something else, don't you? Because it's not our country, it's you criminals' country. Now, continuing, U.S. evacuates Pakistan air base. At least they're saying they're getting ready to evacuate it after bombing and killing a bunch of Pakistani military people. Again, very, very dangerous escalation worldwide with these drones flying around, killing people. And the Russians have moved ships into the Mediterranean. They're off Syria. Also, there's a big London Guardian reporting that revealing the true cost of Christmas toys we buy from China's factories, late wages, and fines for using the toilet. They work up to 140 hours of overtime a month, were paid up to a month late, claimed they were expected to work with dangerous tools and machines without training or safety measures, had to work in silence, and were fined up to £5 or about $8 for going to the toilet without permission. And again, we're competing with all of this, with all the regulations they put on us to shut us down because the globalists have all moved to China. And it doesn't raise up the Chinese people. It's a race to the bottom. Mexico can't even keep factories now because they're all going to China. And they had to put suicide nets up around most of their factories. It's that bad. By the way, no child welfare taking your kids there. Many of them chain their children. This is in mainstream news, to light poles outside the factories all day, and the children get one meal if they're lucky. Sometimes go days, so the children are chained outside, defecating on the ground. There's some incredible online photos of it, like dogs. And that's what we're competing with. It's just unbelievable. Talk about the big sucking sound. Meanwhile, the Weekly Standard reports big business sides with Iran. In a letter, the USA engaged director states, given the reported announcement intent of sanctions and amendments to target Iran's crude oil sales in the world market, the adverse effects on the world economy and on vital U.S. interests could be considerable. Such hasty, draconian, unilateral legislation would be ill-advised. And now they're threatening. And by the way, this is cutting China's oil off, which is basically an act of war. That's what the Japanese ended up attacking us in World War II because we cut off their oil. Very, very serious and will drive up prices here. But the globalists don't care. So what? They're selling the oil. Continuing, the Chinese situation, again, is really escalating. Oh, look, they found a photo of it. There is the child chained up to the light pole. And that's daycare in China. You think you're going to compete with that? No. Our standard will be lowered to that. The Chinese will not be lifted up unless they're Communist Party insiders, all part of this parasitic activity.